Have I got a story for you this morning? You're gonna love this one. I feel a rant coming on. LOC. That's a writer downer. LOC. I hear that and see that in my dreams and my nightmares. As a former pro coach, amateur championship coach, I'm sure my athletes, my former players, see that LOC as they see it in their nightmares and their dreams as well. It's one of the reasons that we were able to win a Barclay Cup championship a few years ago. LOC, that stands for line of confrontation. So in the sport of hockey, LOC is what we used to teach our athletes, line of confrontation. And in ice hockey, the line of confrontation for us was about 5 feet before our blue line. Doesn't matter whether you know hockey or don't know hockey. I used to take a spray paint can out in practice, and when we were working drills, I would spray a red, orangish line across the ice with the spray can 5 feet before the blue line, and we would drill it into the guys. This is the line of confrontation. You're gonna hold that line. You're going to hold that line in this drill. You're going to hold this line in our games. That's the LOC, the line of confrontation. And I would drill this for months and months into their head. I would draw it on the board. I'd show it in video. We'd practice it on the ice. But I'd literally take a spray can onto the ice and like, LOC, line of confrontation. Well, what the hell is a line of confrontation in a man's life? Well, a line of confrontation is huge for a man, for a husband, for a father, for a king, because to me, it's so important that we as men, as leaders of our families, leaders of our businesses, leaders of our community, you've got to hold the line, brother. There's seasons in your life. There's spring, there's summer, there's fall, and there's winter in a man's life. Every year's the same. There's seasons in your life, and there's a season in every man's life. You may be going through it where you feel you're in a bit of a funk, maybe a bit of a rut. That's absolutely normal. It's a season. Maybe you're going through winter, maybe you're going through fall. But a man has to discipline himself to hold the line in his life. You know, people who say, get 1% better, and I'm scaling this and scaling that. Well, the reality is those guys are so full of horse shit. They've never won anything in their life. There are seasons, there are days, there are months, there are weeks where a man just has to hold the line. I'll give you an example. In my life, I've had critics step up, whether it was a relative or a family member. They criticized what I was doing with the family business, with the marketing, and I literally had to hold the line. I had to stop and say to myself, listen, these critics, it's not their ass that's on the line, and I believe 200% in what I'm doing, my advertising, my marketing, how I'm building this company, and I had to hold the line of confrontation. And when people are pushing you to quit, when people are pushing you to pull your punches, when people are pushing you, they're shaming you, they're criticizing you, you got to learn to hold the line. And holding the line is not losing. Holding the line is war for a man. In other words, you're taking the negative energy that's being thrown at you, because if you're winning, you're going to be a target. If you're succeeding, you're going to be a target. The normies and the sheeple aren't going to like it. You've got to make sure that you hold the line. This gives you a chance to start winning again. But holding a line is not failure. It's actually part of the winning process. So holding your ground when the critics come out, when people are saying, you know, you should stop, you should quit, that's part of the winning process. And it's what separates the men from the boys. I know it's what separated them in the sport of hockey. I know it's what separates them in the sport of football, holding the line, that line of confrontation. But you're going to have people come out of the woodwork and they're going to criticize. They're going to criticize you as a father. They're going to criticize you as a business owner. And it's so important that a man holds the line. And I wrote down some details here that, sometimes we just got to stay on our feet. There's days where it's like a boxing match, where there's a handful of guys that beat Mike Tyson. And I was in the boxing game as a teenager for a few years. And I watched a few of the Tyson fights where he started to lose a few matches. And I was watching them the other night, clips of how these guys actually, Buster Douglas was able to first beat Mike Tyson. And it was all about him just surviving those first couple of rounds. Like literally surviving. Because the guys that got knocked out in the first round, second round, never had a chance. So that's what holding the line is about, is staying on your feet when you're going through winter. Then you always have a chance. You always have a chance. It's almost like rope-a-dope, right? And that's what I used to, when we won our Barclay Cup championship in 2019, we went up against Goliath. We went up against a team that had only lost 4 games all season. And we're in a 7-game championship series. They've only lost 4 games the whole year. So they called it David versus Goliath. Nobody gave us a hope in hell. But what was most important, the guys inside that locker room believed that we could pull off this upset. But line of confrontation was a really big thing because we made that team play a game they didn't want to play. We made them dump the puck. They wanted to carry the puck into our zone. They wanted to play a soft game. They wanted to play a fancy game. They wanted to be cute. They wanted talent to take over. And we just drew a line in the sand. We just drew a line on the ice, and we said, we're going to hold that line. We don't give a shit what they want to do. We're going to make sure that they have to chip the puck in. They've got to dump the puck. We made them play ugly. They wanted to play pretty. Our game was ugly. We win when we play ugly, when we grind, when we block shots, when we, ugly beats pretty. Ugly beats pretty in marketing. Ugly beats pretty in sports. Ugly often beats pretty in business. So we made that pretty team play ugly. That line of confrontation. You're not going to carry it in. You're not going to dipsy doodle. You're not going to do any of that. We're going to make you play our ugly game. And they didn't. And we won the series in 5 games. We got our asses handed to us in game 1. Pretty game. We didn't hold the line. We didn't hold strong. And we got our asses whipped 7-3. We regrouped after game 1 and said, look it, win or lose, we're going to make these guys play our game. We're going to draw a line in the sand. We're going to have a line of confrontation. And we're going to make these guys play ugly. And this is, as long as we can make them play ugly and hold the line, we got a chance. Doesn't guarantee we're going to win, but we got a chance. Stay on your feet. Stay on your feet. Play ugly. Make them play our game. Make them play the hard game, and let's see what happens. And that applies to life and business. Men need to hold the line. Like most men nowadays are just half-assing it through life. They're half-assing it in their marriage. They're half-assing it with their children. They're half-assing their job, their fitness, their health. You got to be the guy who gives a shit about those things. And holding the line is not losing, it's winning. Sometimes it just allows us to stay in the game so that then we have a chance. Bend, don't break. Get it to the fourth quarter where in football where it's close and we got a chance. Get it to the 9th inning where we got a chance. Stay close, hold the line. So that always rings in my mind. LOC, line of confrontation, line of confrontation. And when I used to go in the locker room when we were struggling, I could almost every time say, we're giving up that line of confrontation. We're letting those teams come in and play their fancy game. We've got to reestablish that line. So in your life, are you holding the line? Are you holding the line? Or are you bending a knee to critics? Are you bending a knee to haters? Are you bending a knee because people are shaming you? Holding the line is holding your principles. Holding the line is living your values. You know, to me, LOC, the line of confrontation in my world, always, always, always is doing the right thing. Do the right thing. Be good, do good. Be good, do good. That's my line of confrontation. Doing the right thing. It hurts, it's unpopular, it's not easy, but I'm going to do the right thing. I'm going to be good and I'm going to do good. And it's hard, but that's my line in the sand. That's my line on the ice, holding the line. I need to hold the line as a man. I need to live my values, my principles. I need to hold the line as a husband. I need to hold the line as a father. I need to hold the line as an entrepreneur. We have all these people attacking men. We have all these people talking about toxic masculinity and strength. My job is to lead my family. I need to protect, I need to provide, and I need to lead my family. I can only do those things if I hold the line. I'm not going to take a knee. I'm not going to pull my punches, and I'm not going to bite my tongue. I'm going to live by the golden rule. What is the right thing to do in this situation? Not what's popular, not what's comfortable, not what's easy. What is the right thing to do? That's leadership. You lead your family by holding the line. LOC, line of confrontation. I'm not going to take a knee. I'm not going to pull my punches. I'm not going to neuter my message. I'm going to be honest. I'm going to be authentic. And I'm not going to bite my tongue. I'm going to hold that line. And as long as I do that as a man, I hold that line. I got a chance. I'm still in the game. And I didn't settle, and I didn't lower my standards, and I didn't half-ass it. I held the line. I'm still in the game, and that gives me a chance now to win in the future. Be a man who holds the line. Be a man who lives by his principles and by his values and by his personal rules. And those critics and those haters and those jealous people in your life, they're not used. They want you to surrender. They want to carry the puck in. They want to play that pretty game. I'm like, absolutely not. I'm going to hold the line as a husband, a father, an entrepreneur, and a leader. That gives me my best chance to win and gives me a chance to build something special in the future. Talk about building something special. My Naples locker room is coming up, King's locker room. It's my favorite 2 days of the year. May 10th and 11th here in Naples, at where we live here at the conference room. It's 2 days of a closed door with me, men only, working on our businesses, our marketing, our investments, our health, our fitness, our marriages, fatherhood, you name it. We close the door for 2 days. We have a lot of fun. We work on each other's businesses and challenges, and we walk out of here transformed. That's 2 days you're investing in your life. And we have some fun. I took the guys to the shooting range last time. We chartered a 52 boat the second day and got out on the ocean. So we have fun. And all your meals are taken care of. You get a marketing hot seat, but I work with you for 2 days behind closed doors. There's usually 7 or 8 men. You don't have to be an entrepreneur, but most of these guys are business owners. Best 2 days of the year. It's like a locker room. Like, I'm a former pro coach, amateur hockey coach. This is the way I operate it as a championship leader. And it's just For most guys, most of the guys double their business in the next 6 months. We meet every 6 months. Most of these guys, are in the best shape of their lives. But if you're struggling in any area of your life, the link is below. I charge $3,000 for the 2 days, but I'm going to give you $1,000 fat discount. I have 2 seats I want to fill at the table. If you're interested, if this is your cup of whiskey, you're a locker room kind of guy, you're looking to king up, you're looking to become more capable, more confident, more dangerous, then this is something you need to look at. The link is below. I'm only going to charge $19.97, so a little less than $2,000. But it doesn't really cost anything if you end up increasing your business by 25% or 50%. What the hell does it matter what you charge for these things? So the link is below. And if that's your cup of Jack Daniels, click and see the details and make a decision, because there's only 2 tables or only 2 spots at the King's table coming up if that date works for you. Listen, hold the line, brother. Hold the line. Line of confrontation. We live by your values, live by your principles, and nobody pushes us back. There's no retreat. We don't always have to be advancing, but we're not going to retreat. We're not going to take a knee. We're not going to feel shame. We're not going to pull our punches. We're going to king up, and we're going to hold that line, and that's going to give us a chance. That's going to give us an opportunity to win in the future. 2 words that changed my life. 2 words that'll change yours. Be relentless.